in Death Unchained, Cycle 11, with the bow, sitting comfortably at position 9, a little over 10 million. We're going to get into it here. Switched it up on this video. Let me know how you like it. Just did some highlights, orphans, and of course we'll stop and talk about the bosses.
I'ma go cause something, can't stop this. I'ma steal everybody's name, call it shoplift. Sick of hearing everyone complain when they thoughtless. Taste the pain, it's like candy. Change the name, see no change. I do a bad frame and bad name. Society's the same, we all live for fame.
For Anakim 11, I'm going to go ahead and utilize the alcove strategy. Now, if you're not familiar with the alcove strategy, there's tons of videos on it. I'll do, a decent enough job trying to run through what we're going to do, but you're going to put Anakim in a hand of God. You got to be careful right there at the start when you fire 2 arrows. If you're going to fire 2, you need to do it right at the beginning, or else you do run the risk of aggroing some knights when they spawn. I like bringing the first 2 waves onto this left side, just because when I do jump into the alcove, I really don't want to have to shoot all the way down this hallway trying to get any of these monks that spawn out of these alcoves. So I'll definitely, try to get both of these waves to spawn right off the bat. Now, sometimes you can't, depends on how the winners bite. If you only fire 1, sometimes you'll only get the first wave, and you can still get the second wave to go over there or jump across and do the second wave. But I'll usually get the first 2 waves over there on that left side, do the third wave on the right side, which you'll see, and then I'll jump back across and deal with the 4th wave and the 5th wave if any of them come over once I'm in the alcove. You do want to make sure that you do get a monk that spawns in this this first alcove on the right side, because that alcove right there on the right side, that one right to my left right now, where that black knight just came, or the black monk came out of, it has a clear line of sight onto the alcove that we sit in for this strategy. So you want to make sure that one gets in there. The rest of them don't really matter. Froze the abomination, so I didn't have to deal with them. Once I put Anakim back in the hand of God and got a headshot on him to where he staggers in it, went ahead and just picked off the abomination, so I didn't have to worry about him for unfreezing and blindsiding me or just surprising me. Well, if you're going to jump across like that, you definitely want to make sure that you put 1 pillar gap in the way between you and Anakim. Just so, because if you jump across in that first section, that first pillar opening or column opening, then you do run the chance of taking a hit from Anakim's aggro, which I have done plenty of times. Definitely want to tuck yourself in that far back corner where I'm aiming, essentially, just to get Anakim to follow you and track you all the way over there. And then once he peeks around that column and he gets into this this far hallway, you just want to keep him in the hand of God and keep a winner's bite on him. But see, this is what I was talking about. If you don't get that second wave over here, you'll have monks that spawn all the way down this hallway, and it's just so far away that it can be pretty tough to aim, especially depending on how far Anakim has made it up this hallway. It can just be a pain in the butt. So that's why I like dealing with that second wave there. Takes up those first 3 alcoves and you don't have to worry about it. But working this strategy, Anakim will go down pretty easily. You'll see the 5th wave of monks. I think one did jump behind Anakim on this one, which I think once he goes down, I worked the slow-mo quite a bit just because I wanted to double check and make sure that there wasn't going to be any stray arrows that come from behind him once he goes down. But usually on the 5th wave, working the alcove strategy in these higher cycles, you'll only get 1 to 2 monks that will aggro and come visit you. Usually the rest of them will just stay in their alcoves and won't even bug you. So, but the alcove strategy, it works really good all the way up to cycle 17 is the highest I've been. So.
alone, she's naked, her body's a creation. They say the devil made her for his entertainment, but even he couldn't learn how to contain it. Her high heels make a damn big statement. There is no replacement, her body got saved. Got a bad little waist down, staring down the face. I can look at every chase, got some needles to the face. Baby, I don't need no space, coming closer for a taste, and I'll show you how I make everything straight away.
Well, that was fun. Finally got some close-ups of that orphan. I've been trying to do that for a long time. So Gabriel is by far the easiest boss in the game, no matter what cycle, what level. But don't take him for granted. He'll drop down in one of 3 locations. That location is the easiest one, hands down the easiest one, because you can push him straight off. But the other 2 locations can be tough because you have to just get your movements timed right. When he spawns on the left side, you always want to push him to the right side, just because there's no broken column pieces over there that he can do his strike down attack on. So the goal is to always get him to this right side. Once he's over there, it's pretty much lights out. He has no chance. You'll just really hug these pillars as he swoops in. You'll have to, peek around the side. I typically on these higher cycles, just because his health is so high, I'll put him in a hand of God to slow him down, hit him with a few winner's bites just to really, pull his health down, just because I don't want to have to sit here for an hour shooting them in the head, because it can take some time. So the winner's bite are really handy just to help really pull down the enemy's health. But he only has 3 attacks. This swoop attack where he'll strike you, his fireball attack, and then his slam attack. The slam attack is the one that you really got to watch out for. The fireballs are easy enough to hide around a pillar and not get hit. Same with his striking attack here. But when he does that slam down attack, especially at these higher cycles, you got to be really careful, because he will spawn a stupid amount of cupids that you just do not want to deal with. But hands down, Gabriel, the easiest boss in the game. Hopefully they never change it, but I got a feeling that Super Bright probably will adjust that at some point in time. Maybe add some other column pieces to that right side just to keep it challenging for us. So on to the Abyss.
Play the game like it's nothing. I'm always thankful for something. Don't take for granted, stay humble. Now wake up! It's time to
So I think it's probably debatable on which boss everybody thinks is the hardest. I'd say it's a fair bet to agree that anybody would either say Anakim or Asmodeus. Gabriel's just so easy, it usually doesn't give anybody too much fits, but lots of different strategies to deal with Asmo. This first section, what I have, found to be the easiest and probably what most of the higher skilled players do is just use the slow-mo heavily on the skulls here. You can definitely just avoid dealing with the skulls by teleporting around the platform that you're standing on. You can retreat back to the little island platforms, or that platform that's right off of the staircase. There's a lot of different ways you can do it. One's not necessarily better than the other. I don't like to leave this island just because once you're done with the boils and the skulls, you want to get back to this point as quick as possible, because you don't want to have to deal with the monks and the cupids that spawn as they're already scoped in on you and firing at you. I like being up here when they spawn just to be able to control them better. So on this section, the monks is what's going to trigger the next wave, and it's opposite on this wave. This wave, the abominations will trigger the next wave. So the abominations are going to want to be the last things that you kill. Definitely focus on the monks, get rid of them as soon as possible, and then just go ahead and pick off the abominations, because they will trigger the next wave. But once you get to the point that you're going to trigger this next wave, the way that I handle the incubi is always what's really, got to be your strategy of how you're going to develop, or what you're going to develop to deal with these higher cycles, because the incubi's health is at such a large amount that you have to have a solid strategy of how you're going to deal with it, or else you're never going to make it past the point of the lava, because the lava will keep rising and it will bury you in it and you'll die. So what I always do, like you just saw that column on the right, I hide behind it, use it to block the line of sight between me and the incubi. He will always teleport to my 7 o'clock. Once he does that, you have to stay engaged with him, because that's just the mechanics of the incubi. He wants to teleport back into your line of sight. So you'll have to turn around, hit him with a headshot. Typically on the higher cycles, it's going to be with Winter's Bite, just to start pulling down his health. And then if you have to continue to fight the abominations and the monks, do so, but just don't forget about the incubi. You have to keep engaged with him, or else he will teleport out of that spot, and you need him to stay there because you need to back him up against that wall, so that he doesn't retreat too far away, because that's what makes it really challenging, is when he gets so far away and you can't aim quick enough or get enough shots off to tick him down before the lava rises. This section is definitely the time where you can put it on autoplay, go take a bathroom break, grab yourself a drink, just relax a little bit. I really don't know why Super Bright got so lazy on this second section of dealing with Asmo. It's kind of funny for a boss fight. It's just got to be one of the easiest, just kind of pointless sections. But this section for sure comes in 3 different waves. Typically for the higher cycles, most of the top players are only going to deal with the first 2, and I would say you're only dealing with probably like 1.1 waves, because you're not even going to deal with all the abominations that come on the second wave. Your choice if you want to pick off this incubi when you get in the higher cycles and you have to start really taking a ton of shots on them. You don't have to. A lot of times I'll just put him in the hand of God just to slow him down, and I don't have to worry too much about his fireballs coming at me. And then I'll just pick off those monks and trigger that second wave to happen. And like I mentioned, essentially the second wave will get triggered by these monks. When these monks die, that's when the second wave will happen. I'll pick off this incubi if I just want the points, and it's worth it. I mean, they're worth a decent amount of points, especially at higher cycles. So on this wave, the only enemy that you want to kill is this monk, and you don't even have to kill him. You can just keep him frozen if you want, but You'll just freeze them or kill them. I usually kill them just because it's easy enough, and it's a brown monk, so the health is generally pretty low. And then you'll just dance around until, you know, Asmo does that last final kind of big roar that he does, and that's when you can go for his horns. Usually 1 cat 5 to 2 cat 5s at the most will pick him off, and he'll be done. It is, you know, just kind of muscle memory, just getting used to it. But once you figure it out, I mean, Asmo to me is the second hardest boss. I definitely find Anakim to be the hardest boss. Yes, finally got a holy armor. So that is cycle 11. Getting ready to go to cycle 12. I was definitely debating here for a little bit of which level I wanted to go to. Desolation is not my friend, but I do think it's worth a lot more points. And so I'm trying to make up some points. The bat was in Purgatory, but I haven't seen the bat still for a long time, so it's hit and miss. So Desolation 12, here we come. Well, looks like we moved up a few spots, up to number 6 to end cycle 11. Next up, it is a hefty jump. Got to get to 16 million, 16.3 million to make the top 5. What the heck are these top 5 players doing? My goodness. You know, I know pretty much every one of these players that are in the top 5, and I'm not going to feel bad at all about picking them off. So, Knights Who Say Me, you're on my hit list. Quack, you're coming up next, buddy. So, I'm bringing it. Hope you're ready.